Hello, everyone. This is Manisha Khadge, Chief Marketing Officer at Mindbowser, welcomes you to our DEI podcast series. Recently, on the occasion of International Women's Day, we spoke to some of the established women leaders we work very closely with. And the first question we asked them is, what does IWD means to them?
To be honest, I couldn't be prouder to be here with you today on International Women's Day and continue to showcase that women founders have a right and a place in this market specifically, but in all other industries and professions. And I think International Women's Day is just a great reminder to all of us that the world could be more equitable from a global perspective, not just a kind of local or regional perspective.
For me, the International Women's Day is a call to action. All special recognition months and days of the year, like the Black History Month, Veterans Day, Juneteenth, Pride Month, that are celebrated in the US, are usually, with educational events and celebrations that are all very good, but they're not enough. We should view each of them as a call to action at all levels. What I mean is, it's an opportunity once a year to take stock of what we have done in the previous year and how can we do more if we haven't achieved the outcomes that we all want. And we should do this really at all levels. At the national level, we need to examine policies and regulations. In the workplace, leaders can look at their processes and benefits. And each of us individually need to look at personal actions, what we call sometimes micro actions, even if it's small, that we can each do. Women's Day is also unique, right? In this international aspect of it. And why is that? Look, almost exactly about half of the world population, a bit over 3.9 billion of us are women. Each of us was born of a mother. Many of us have sisters, daughters, wives, colleagues, and friends. And in almost all countries in the world, women still don't have equal rights. This has significant implications at the micro and macro levels. What I'll add is that there's also something very unique about International Women's Day in 2023. You have probably heard of the women-led revolution that started late last year in Iran, where women's basic rights have been severely abused for over decades. It was triggered by the murder of Mahsa Jina Amini, a 22-year-old woman, because she wasn't wearing her hijab or the head covering properly. It's galvanized a movement, not just in Iran, but all over the world, with many influencers and celebrities, as well as ordinary people everywhere, protesting against the regime, the Islamic Republic in Iran, which continues to abuse and kill its own people to silence them. All big shifts in history were triggered in one corner of the world, and then they expanded. I really believe that this is the year of a big shift in gender equity. And as an Iranian American, I'm proud that what's going on in Iran will have contributed to this big shift.
International Women's Day, to me, it's an opportunity to really celebrate the courage, the resilience, and accomplishment of women in our world. But it's also, however, a reminder of the work that is still left to do to make our world more equitable and truly inclusive. So to me, I think, it's important to use this day to build more awareness using stories, statistics, data about the realities of gender inequalities prevailing this, especially the post-pandemic world, because we all know, a mom, a daughter, an aunt, a sister, right? And everybody around you is being impacted by this. So I think it's a great opportunity to really, use that, not just on International Women's Day, but truly every day.
It's important for us to know, how do they feel working and interacting with Mindbowser Team? And here is what they said.
Thank you for that question. And I'm so happy that you asked it because my experience with Mindbowser has been incredibly positive, especially as a woman in the field. I've always felt incredibly respected and supported by your entire team. And from the beginning, in getting to know Aboli, who helped us with the beginning of our project, to working with Shirvani and now working with you, Manisha, it's just exciting to see, especially from this global perspective, that women are in leadership and important positions in tech companies. And so I'm just happy to work alongside Mindbowser, who actually takes the time to recognize women and lift us up and support us just as they would any other male colleague.
So as a woman leader, I think what many people that find themselves in a minority or an underrepresented group find is that, especially in the industry that I was in most of my career in aerospace and defense, very male dominated, I was always the only one or one of the very few, whether it was originally when I started as a young engineer and then going up through the ranks and in the executive positions, in the C-suite, and then finally on boards, board of public companies and so on. And I will say this, that, yes, there were instances where certainly I can tell you, even today, sometimes I'll meet, there will be a meeting and there will be some male members of my team, and the customer or the vendor or whoever, the partner, whoever we are talking to might start addressing them, assuming that they are, so to speak, in charge. Now, we have a very team spirit, so, we all are very collaborative, but at the end of the day, I've had once or twice one of my team members point out to them that, like, she's the boss, right? And so I think those kind of instances happen, but I will also say this, that, where I am today, I certainly contribute my relative success, within my own realms, if you will, as an engineer coming up the ranks, and having had the good fortune to have the kind of roles that I've had, and that I owe a lot of it to my mentors and colleagues who were predominantly male, just by the virtue of the the situations that I found myself in. So I have really enjoyed. I have many good friends, and what I do today, in our company, and we've been, of course, partners with Mindbowser since day one, several years ago when we first met in Pune and started work on developing our software. What we do today is really intended to not just help diversity, equity, and inclusion for the beneficiaries of more inclusive and equitable workplaces, but also for leaders who are still majority white males in the US, and to really help give them tools, because I believe from my own experience that many leaders, most of them, with few exceptions perhaps, there's always exceptions, right? But majority want to have an equitable and inclusive workplace where everybody feels they belong and can do their best and prosper, but they just don't know how. So I think that as a woman leader, I've made it my my life's work now to really give the tools and provide the ways that just to make it a little bit easier and make it more clear how they can go about doing that.
I've had the pleasure of working with the Mindbowser team for the last 3 years. And one thing that has really stood out to me is the culture and the values of the Mindbowser team, which are very much aligned with Mocingbird. And what that is about the team, the culture of the actual organizations. And I very specifically remember I've gotten to know Ayush and Praveen really well over these past 3 years. And I became a mom last year, and really they truly at Mindbowser care about the people at work. And it's not just about, the work and the events that you all put together to really, make sure the team gets to know each other. And, everybody has life outside of work. And I still to this day remember, when I first had the baby and I was on calls, it wasn't just diving directly into the business details, but just asking, hey, how are you doing? And, I remember both Ayush and Praveen sharing stories about how, life was for them when they had kids and whatnot. And I think that's important. So, and one thing we do at Mocingbird is also very much create that culture, right? Yes, we're two organizations, but we really include the Mindbowser team members also in our dialogue, in our culture. And in the past 2 years or so, we've kind of developed this. Every quarter we have an event to make sure that we all talk to each other, turn our videos on, so that we can get to know about each other's culture, and bringing it back to women. From the start, we have actually had at least one woman on the team. I know one doesn't sound like it's enough, but you have to start somewhere. And today we're proud to say that we have 3 engineers who are women on our team of the Mindbowser team that we have, which is a total of 15 engineers. Again, I'd love to see more and more women. But I think it's great that we've always had at least one woman on our engineering team.
It's great to know that we practice what we preach. Here is their message to all the women out there listening to them.
Thank you for that question. I think it's a great time to be a woman. And what we really see now is that women excel when we come in groups together. And that's why my team is full of women professionals. It's why we are female founded. It's why we have so many female leaders. I think even in my profession, the child life profession started as a group of women volunteers in a hospital in the 1930s and have now grown to be over 6,000 certified professionals who are working to make trauma-informed care and psychosocial care more relevant to children and families who enter the healthcare system. So that's why I make sure that I'm a part of female-founded groups, whether it be in business, in my personal life. And then the last thing I would say is, as you are choosing partners in both your personal and professional life, you want to find people who view you as equitable. So whether it's a partner in the home or a partner in the workplace, find women, find men who look at you just as they do anyone else, regardless of who you love, what you look like, what gender you are, and then you will find success in building what you're hoping to build.
My message to all women is to be true to ourselves. It's only by revealing ourselves as we truly are and demanding what we really need that we will get to full equity, inclusion, and belonging. This is really important for us because it's not just good for us as women, but it's really as important for our children and for all humanity. Full gender equity will lead to a better, safer, and more prosperous world. We also need to support each other and ask our husbands, brothers, fathers, sons, colleagues, and friends to be true allies and ask them to take action. I really believe 2023 is the year of the woman. As Iranian women say, as they are in the streets, every day, still now for months, putting their lives at risk by taking off their hijabs against, the reigning regime there. They shout out, Zan, Zendegi, Azadi. This translates into woman, life, freedom. So let's make this the year of woman, life, and freedom for everyone.
Again, as I became a mom last year, and so I have a 13-and-a-half-month-old right now, son, and something that has really helped me navigate the day-to-day push and pull of, being a mom, being a leader, family, friends, all of that is just remembering that there's no true work-life balance, so to say, and that's okay. Sometimes, some days will be more mom, some days will be more work, some days will be more, family, friends, whatever that is. And just remembering that and kind of chipping at it day by day. And what you do at home, the actions at home is really where it starts, right? And sometimes it's a matter of, encouraging the men in your lives, because, I was reading about stay-at-home dads. And while it's becoming more and more common, there's not as much infrastructure for stay-at-home dads, for example, right? So what does that mean? That makes it harder for the women to actually, be the not be the primary caregiver, but be the one working, right? So I think just remembering some of that. And also, it can be really discouraging, especially in today's world, to see some of the data, some of the statistics. Recently, I saw that, for every 2 women, so for every woman stepping into a leadership role, there's 2 women leaving. Again, a lot of this caused by the pandemic. I think some of the progress that was made towards gender equality has kind of gone back a little, right? Unfortunately, but what I want to share is just don't get discouraged. Take the risk, have the difficult conversation, make the difficult, decision, and just don't give up in whatever it is that you choose to do, whether it's, continuing to work while being a mom, or helping your spouse, and whatever that is. So I think slowly but surely we'll get there again to make this a more equitable world.